Hello, and welcome to the E with J Webquest Training. You can follow along by opening the PowerPoint from the course resources page. So what is a WebQuest? Well, a WebQuest is a series of web-based lessons and activities that allow you to gather knowledge about a particular topic in order to produce some sort of end product. This end product can usually take the form of a writing, literacy, or art project. This training module will teach you what you need to know in order to guide your students through the WebQuest. So, take a moment to think about the following. Why do you think we're using a WebQuest? And what advantages do you think it has over traditional instruction? So why a WebQuest? Well, first is higher level thinking skills. A WebQuest encourages the evaluation and analysis of real-world problems. Specifically, our WebQuest this semester is focused on social issues around poverty and homelessness. Now, these are very complex issues, but the WebQuest simplifies it to the extent where children can understand it. Also, cooperative learning. One component of this is group work. The other is the individual impacting the final group product. This will require a lot of collaboration and cooperation, not just between the tutor and their students, but between the students themselves. Topics for the E with J WebQuest are based on specific issues or themes with social and political impact. As previously mentioned, this WebQuest is dealing with the issues of poverty and homelessness, but they can also be dealing with environmental issues, various political issues that aren't covered, or just anything that might have educational value and can be valuable for literacy and civic engagement. Our goal is to empower students with knowledge and proficiency in literacy so that they can make a positive impact. A big part of this is to get them engaged in the actual process. While we only have them for a limited period of time, if we can manage to spark an interest, then they'll go on to work on this stuff in the future. They'll work on their literacy, and they'll work on their civic engagement. This is the hope, and this is the goal. The main goals of the E with J WebQuest are to 1. Promote analytical thinking, 2. Engage students in ill-structured problem solving, 3. Increase awareness of real-world problems, and 4. Promote civic engagement. For number 1, we're talking about the higher level thinking and the higher level analysis that we mentioned earlier. For 2, we're engaging students in problems that have no easy solutions and no easy answers. There may be multiple ways to tackle such problems. The goal of this WebQuest is to give students the means to approach such problems in their everyday lives. With 3, we're increasing their awareness of these real-world problems. While they might learn about a fair amount of this in school, they might not go deeply into it. The goal is to simply make them aware. If they're aware, after the limited time that we have them for, they'll be able to seek out information on these issues on their own and therefore participate in the problem-solving process. For 4, we're trying to promote civic engagement. While it may seem like a lofty goal, especially considering the amount of time you have with your students, it is very possible. If a student gets interested in both the content and the process, then they are more likely to go on and become civically engaged. This is supported by research and literature. So, why would those goals be of importance, especially to children of this age? How can these skills help children later in their lives? Are these goals and skills of any importance in your own life? As a tutor, your roles will be the following. First, you'll be a reader. Second, a discussion leader. Third, an organizer. And fourth, a role model. As a reader, you will need to, obviously, Read some text to your students. You should read directions ahead of the students in order to be prepared. This includes their reading materials and their projects. Guide their discussions. A big part of this is to pick up on what interests the children the most and to really run with that. If they're interested in one component of an issue, foster that, encourage it, and they'll become more engaged. Third, as an organizer, you'll need to keep the students on task and organized. This requires that you're also on task and organized yourself. As a role model, you will need to model appropriate behavior and model how to complete some of their activities. This usually requires going through ahead of time and looking at the activities and trying them yourself. A KWL chart is a tool for guided discussions and just for reading analysis in general. Students will often use KWL charts to assess their students' current knowledge and keep track of the knowledge that they acquire. The K stands for, what do I know? The W, what do I want to know? And the L, what did I learn? Students will use this chart to organize their work throughout the Webquest. For more information on KWL charts, check out the following link. Guiding reading. First, we have the step of pre-reading. You want to establish the purpose of the reading for the children. Why are they reading what they're reading? Why is the topic important? Second, you'll want them to make predictions about the reading. This includes taking their background knowledge and using it to make those predictions. What do they think will happen in the story? What do they think the purpose of the story is? Lastly, you'll have background knowledge. This is, simply put, getting the students to take their own knowledge and their own circumstances and apply it to the situations in the reading. Make sure to have a discussion and allow the students to put forth their input to connect to the reading. The second component of guiding reading is the actual reading process. You want to guide them through the reading using prompts and clues, especially from the context. You want to make sure that they understand the words they're reading and the sentences they're working with. The last step is post-reading. You want to have meaningful conversations and comprehension strategies. The big part of this is having group discussions. For a review of the pre-reading, establish purpose, make predictions, and discuss background knowledge. For the reading step, listen for correct pronunciation, point out similarities to words they know, check for understanding of new words, use context clues. Context clues are simply clues from the reading that allow the individual to discern the meaning of the word. Post-reading. Engage with the material. Use new material to complete activities and participate in discussions. Check for understanding of the material with text-dependent questions. Finally, for guiding discussion, make sure to start with a text-dependent question and give students time to think before answering. Encourage everyone to participate. Model respect of others' ideas and give time to share. Thank students for participating appropriately and continue to ask text-dependent questions or have students ask their own questions. The following are resources that you'll be using over the course of tutoring. Please click on the links and make sure you're familiar with this before starting your first tutoring session.